Part 4. John is writing to Christians in Asia Minor. Satan, through the Romans, has had them persecuted, imprisoned, and faced death. And they're trying to make sense of this. So God gives a vision to John, through Jesus, through an angel, to help explain what is going on planet Earth. So in chapter 4 and 5, John is taken up into heaven and he is shown a throne room vision. God is seated on the throne. They're all worshipping him in heaven, all the angelic beings. And in 4:11, they say, "Worthy, worthy are you to be worshipped because you are the creator." Then in chapter 5, this worship scene comes to an abrupt halt. A sealed scroll, a scroll locked up with 7 seals, appears, and there's a crisis in heaven. We move from crisis on earth in the 7 churches to a crisis in heaven in chapters 4 and 5. God is getting the message very clear to persecuted Christians that we're in this crisis business together. Satan is not only causing havoc on planet Earth, it's because he's causing havoc and caused a crisis in heaven. So this scroll appears. God is now not worthy to open this scroll, and John cries. Revelation chapter 5, 3 and 4, English Standard Version. Let's pick it up from there. "And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I began to weep totally loudly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or look into it." We've gone from chapter 4, a heavenly worship scene where God is worthy in 4:11. 2 verses later, not even he is worthy to open this scroll. What's this business about a scroll? And how is this sealed scroll somehow deeming God not to be worthy? A solution comes in the next verse. Revelation chapter 5, 5 and 6. New American Standard Bible. "And one of the elders said to me, 'Stop weeping, John. Behold, look, the Lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, the Messiah, he has overcome so as to be able to open the scroll and its 7 seals.'" The solution has come. We've moved from a crisis on earth to a crisis in heaven, and now the crisis is resolved. How did it get resolved? By Jesus. Don't forget, we've gone from worthiness of God in chapter 4 to now he's not worthy on the throne to open the scroll. There's some kind of deficit in God in connection with worthiness that's connected with this scroll. But Jesus appears in heaven and he has overcome, and that qualifies him to take the scroll and to release the seals. The word overcome, very powerful word. Other translations say conquered. Overcome, conquered. This is a military term. Who did Jesus overcome? There's 2 parties. He's the overcomer and there's the enemy. How did he overcome the enemy to qualify, to take the scroll, to establish worthiness of worship of the one seated on the throne? Remember, by this time in the story, the worship scene has stopped. There's now commentary and a crisis, a council meeting. Not even the Father is worthy. Who raised this objection of worthiness in the first place? Jesus had to overcome the enemy to reestablish worthiness in the heavenly throne room. The one he overcame was the one who put doubt on the worthiness of God. And when Jesus overcame this enemy, worthiness was reestablished. How did Jesus overcome the enemy who is obviously Satan. How did he overcome him in this battle? Look at verse 6, New American Standard Bible. And I looked and I saw between the throne with the 4 living creatures and the elders a lamb standing as if slaughtered. What? Jesus conquers and overcomes the enemy who raised the issue of worthiness, and he does warfare with him, conquers him, overcomes him by being slaughtered by him. What? Jesus wins the worthiness in the heavenly throne room battle, not by showing force to the enemy. He defeats and overcomes and conquers the enemy by being slaughtered as a baby lamb, which is what the Greek says. In 3:21, Jesus said, he who overcomes or conquers, he who overcomes will join me on my throne, as I have overcome and joined my Father on his throne. Jesus has overcome the devil by being slaughtered by the devil, and because he was slaughtered by the devil, he defeated the devil, and that's what qualifies him to join the Father on his throne. Wow. Jesus had to be slaughtered by the devil, overcame him that way, to reestablish the worthiness of God and join him on the throne. What a radical story this is. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is this. Chapter 4, God is sitting on a throne surrounded by peace, the rainbow non-violence. He's joined by 24 other elders who are also on thrones. He's not a tyrant. He's not a dictator. He shares his throne. He's humble. He shares his rule, and he's non-violent. He's peaceful. And then this question on his worthiness in 4:11 on that throne. Now Jesus joins the Father on the throne after conquering the devil by being slaughtered by him. And he joins the Father on the throne, and the worthiness praise begins. John is presenting us with a cosmic view of the death of Jesus. To be sure, he says in chapter 1 verse 5 that the death of Jesus wiped away all our sins, but it did more than that. It impacted us, but it impacts the heavenly courtroom. Look at 1:5 in the New American Standard Bible. And from Jesus Christ, the faithful witness, the firstborn of the dead, and the ruler of the kings of the earth, to him who loves us and released us from our sins by his blood. By his blood, we are released from our sins. Now, John is saying that to Christians who've already been released from their sins by his blood. But now in chapter 4 and 5, he says the cross did more than just impact us on planet Earth. It also had ramifications in the heavenly courtroom. Worthiness is reestablished on the one sitting on the throne when Jesus is slaughtered by the enemy and thereby overcame him. This is in complete harmony with what we've read in chapter 4. In chapter 4, what's God's rule like? What's the nature of his rule? Rainbow, peace, non-violence, shares it with 24 elders. He's not a dictator. He's not a tyrant. He's a peaceful ruler, and he won't deal with the enemy by show of force. He will experience force. He is not the perpetrator of violence as he sits on the throne. He becomes the victim of violence. This is what God is like. This scene sets the narrative for the rest of the book of Revelation. And we will see, because God is a peaceful God and he will absorb violence, and that's how he rules. That's why there is havoc on planet Earth. But there's a twist. As we go through the book of Revelation, it looks like God sitting on the throne doing nothing. Nope, he's a peaceful God. He shares rule. He will absorb violence on the throne. He will not dish it out. Because God knows that the enemy who killed Jesus will expose himself in the storyline in the seals, trumpets and plagues. And he will bring his own disaster on his own head. And that whole process is called the wrath of God. When God allows evil to play out and implode, the devil is the violent one in this cosmic battle, not God. More next time. God bless you.